Behind everyone you see that went from having a very average physique to now being in great shape are three biblical principles that they used to get there, even if they didn't know it. As someone who was so eager to see these kind of results when I first started training, what I didn't expect to see was that every lesson I learned on the path to getting here was exactly what the Bible was teaching me over and over again. First of those principles is that disruption always follows intention. And this is not just true for us as men, but also for God and his son as an example for us. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Therein lies God's intent to create. Verse number 2, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Here we see that God intended to create and immediately was met with some form of disruption. The same pattern repeats itself in Matthew 3 and 4 when Yeshua is being baptized in preparation for his ministry, making the most significant declaration of intention in human history, and immediately after being led into the wilderness to be tempted for 40 days. Every man who has committed themselves to doing anything consistently, whether it be going to the gym, reading your Bible, improving your health, starting a business, knows this firsthand. Same week you decide to lock in is the same week everything else tries to pull you out of it. But the best thing you can do is not to run from it, but stick to it through that, because that's what actually builds the discipline needed to see the results you want. That leads me into the second principle, which is taking your thoughts captive, or what I like to call thought discipline. 2 Corinthians 10 and 5 says we are to take every thought captive to the obedience of Messiah. And most men never build the physique they're after, not because they lack the program or the right diet, but because they're never able to conquer what happens in between their ears. Those are the battles that are going to determine whether or not you stay consistent enough to see the result. Thought discipline is not just thinking positive thoughts. It is the active and deliberate rejection of any thought that contradicts what you already committed to doing. That leads me into the third principle, which is intentional joy and gratitude. The Bible is replete with commands to give thanks and walk in joy, and there is no better starter avenue for this than the gym. One of the only places in a man's life where the work he puts in is directly and visibly reflected back at him over time. Every pound added to a lift, every change seen in the mirror, every day you showed up when you didn't want to is another day you can be grateful, genuinely grateful for God giving you the strength and ability to do that. See, the Bible is never just a spiritual and theological manual. It is the most consistent and complete framework for how a man is actually supposed to live his life. Yes, these three principles do work whether you know their source or not, but knowing the source changes the quality so much in how you apply them and how much growth you're able to make long term. But if you want to build your health on a framework that actually holds in the long run and not just for a summer fling, follow me, because that is exactly what I talk about.